got Michelle coming in. Deborah. Okay, so we have 12 participants this morning. Thank you guys for joining us right on time. Today, with the help of Rob and with the help of Bob, I am going to be hosting this workshop because right now Robert is having a wonderful vacation with his family in the Tresco Island in the United Kingdom. And well, I believe yesterday was holiday over there in the UK, so he's just taking advantage of that. But he will be joining us again on next week's Friday, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started. What I'm going to say is very short and simple. We have new members here. We've got Sloan. I see Sasha. Last week we had Deborah, Diane. We have Mukesh again. Welcome, guys. It's lovely to see you all. Well, I don't want to start repeating everything I repeat this every week, so I'm just going to be very fast on what I have to say. I'm going to leave my Calendly in the chat. So if you would like a one-on-one 30-minute call to answer all of your questions regarding listings, profile, go ahead and book a call with me. It's very simple. Elevate 3.0 is very minimalistic. It's simple to use. It's easy to use. I think Rob can let me just, I'm going to let somebody in. Rob has had a really good time this week posting his listings, right? So he's gotten used to the new interface and the new site. So it's not difficult at all, but if you need any help, you can go ahead and book a call with me. In summary, what I wanted to remind you guys is that we really need your help with a great headshot for your profile, so it's up close and we can see your smiling face, a great bio where you present all of your experience, who you've worked with, what you're expert in, what your expertise is, what you do, if it's a speaking session, a workshop, coaching, training, whatever it is that you do. You can link your personal websites or your LinkedIn. And also on the listing, what we're looking for is a great description of the service you're offering. So who it's directed to, what this person or this company is going to get out of your session, and a great title with keywords. So it's clear when somebody reads your listing title, they understand from the get-go what it's about. Okay. Okay, we've got Sandra. Hi, Sandra. We can't see you, but I know you're there.
Yes, I'll join with on my computer in a few minutes.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for joining us. Okay, and Robert is going to
Victoria, we can't hear you.
That was an interesting thing I've never seen on Zoom.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, your voice went, we can't hear you, Victoria, if you can hear
like
us.
Minnie Mouse.
I know. That was an interesting thing. I'll send her a chat.
She can hear us.
Yeah, good.
Everybody raise your hands. Everybody do this so Victoria
Can hear you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, can't hear you.
That's funny, Bob.
So that got her attention. We'll go old school. I was going to put in chat. Nope. Yeah. So she was introducing you, Rob. So there's some technology thing. So maybe the smart thing to do is I'll say it in chat to her. But Rob, why don't you go ahead and start?
Great. So Robert asked me to speak on a couple of things today. One, which is quality. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then also the Elite Sales Program, which I had an opportunity to chat with a couple of the fellas that are going to be participating with us, and some really good, I think, a good approach to helping us land work. So the first thing is,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, now you're back.
yes,
I'm so sorry about that. My
No worries. We
microphone-
told Rob to get started, so he was.
Okay, perfect.
So
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. I won't interrupt you
Well,
anymore.
no worries, Victoria. So the quality, so it's interesting. I was just on a coaching call with a young person that I'm working with, mid-career person who works at a community health center. And he has a background in theater, performing arts, although he isn't doing it right now. But he did some things that were immediately recognizable. His camera was level set. His background was really clear, and he had good lighting. So right there, we were working on other things in terms of his presence and his work, but right there, he allowed me to see him and connect with him very easily. I worked with another very senior person yesterday, and I've had this happen a couple of times where he's looking down at his computer and there's a fan on the ceiling and it's right behind his head and it's going around, and he has, I call it propeller head. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. You've seen some people that have propeller head. And the thing is, he had no idea that it was an issue or that it was there, right? So it's like everyone's thinking when you see someone that has propeller head, they have propeller head, it's like, and so this idea of building our awareness of what good looks like, I think that's something that's really important. What does good look like? And some of you use virtual backgrounds, and understandably, because you're in situations, whatever the room is, or whatever, you don't want to have a natural background. But I want to challenge you on this. I know someone that works in doing a lot on virtual presence, and she's a digital nomad. So sometimes she's in Europe, sometimes she's in Florida. What a life. But she brings certain things with. She looks for a flat background, has certain things that she puts up on the wall wherever she is, and then she has a consistency. So she knows to put the camera level set. She brings a 18-inch ring light with her, and she has a good microphone and a good camera. So there's consistency. So I know that it's not, money is no object. Well, money is an object, and it's you have to do this incrementally. And I'm not sure if you saw, I did a session on Show Up and Shine Online, and I had to work through this incrementally, like we all do. I started looking at my laptop. I was looking down at my laptop, and then I went, well, wait a minute, I can do better than this. This is my business. So I worked really hard to engineer my laptop so that it was level. And then wait a minute, I could do better than this. And I got a webcam. The webcam, though, you have to be careful because it's very wide and you have to work with it. The picture of me with the webcam, I thought it looked great. When I look at it now compared to what it was before, big difference. And so we have to build our awareness of what good looks like. And then what I have now, and I was talking with Bob about this, he wanted me to take a picture of it. I have a 65-inch screen, mirrorless camera between me and the screen. I have this microphone that's I have a stool that it's hanging from, and my cord goes into the camera so that the sound and video link up or in sync, and it plugs easily into the computer. And so now I have a consistent, really high quality image. And the reason I do it is because and I get this a lot, coaching clients say, oh, geez, Rob, I feel like you're right in the room with me. And that's what I think we want others to feel like. We want to feel like that we're close to them. So I know when you're on video calls like this, I could look around, I would go around and critique each one of you, but that's not the case. I want you to be able to see what it is, what good looks like. And when we go on a podcast, when we record our own videos. Now, again, money is an object. Money does matter. So if you were to, I felt as though when I first started doing this, now I'm lucky, I have a dedicated space. Definitely lucky. I have a small home office shed in my backyard that I built. I built it before COVID happened. So it just so happened that it worked out. And
right on
so,
time.
What's that? Yeah, right on
Right on
time.
time.
Totally. And so I had to work through it. I had to work. I brought someone into the shed at one point who was he helped me doing some media training. And he looked around and he said, well, you might want to take that corner in your office and do something with it. Well, it took me a year until I started to get that corner developed. And so now I really took time. I took time to buy this. I have a hat that I have. So I find these little icons, and I wanted to create something that it spoke to me, it spoke to my background, that was something of interest. And then I had light gray walls, and I brought a videographer in to help me. And he said, well, you want to do this 65, what was it, 67% gray, Bob? I said, I think so. It's a 67% gray. It's like photography gray.
Yeah,
So
my brain held 70. So.
Okay, so if you paint the walls, then it'll have a consistent image. This is what photographers use. So I get this information, and it's iterative. So I continue to build and build and build and build. And when I created my master class, I had a choice. I could either hire someone to record it, but I said, well, if I want to be able to have it so that I can record it more frequently, I don't have to wait for someone else to be able to record. And so this is all, this came out of, a desire to be more self-sufficient. But I did hire, I got all the pieces together. And once I got the pieces together, I realized I was struggling a bit. I hired the videographer to come in, and he helped me organize, get my settings right. So I'm not saying you have to do it by yourself. Sometimes you do need help, but that small investment of both equipment and time and hiring somebody to come in and help, now I'm pretty self-sufficient. And what I do is I use him for a little post-production, but I've really, I think, worked hard to get quality of the picture tuned up. So I'm very happy to open to questions or thoughts about, where you are in the process and how I can help you get up to speed, even incrementally. You don't have to do, have the equipment that I have, but you could get to that next level and then another level past that. So I want you to be thinking about this mindset of continual improvement, of adding a new thing, adding something new, so that you're always kind of getting better. And Stephanie, you don't quite have propeller head, but I see the fan in the mirror.
So this is where I have like my podcast and stuff.
Yes.
So this is my workspace. So I'm never going to look good in my workspace.
Well, why don't you just keep the camera going in the other direction?
Because there's a computer there that I try and sit comfortably when I'm just working. But if I'm, like with you guys, I don't think you care what I look like right now, do you?
Well, that's what I want to challenge, Stephanie. I want you to challenge always being like when you do, even on a call like this, this is the look I have. So when I'm recording, I pull it off to another space, and then, it's another angle, but this is the look and feel that I have, even when I'm on any call.
See, so here's what I would challenge to that, and this is just because I hear what you're saying, but I don't disagree with you, but I think there's something elevated that happens, so to speak, when you're presenting, and I think and I could be totally off the wall here, but I think that there's something about elevating that presenting look that is different and sets you apart, as opposed to looking like that all the time. But that's, I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but that's just my my thought.
So that's really good feedback. So I think what I'm hearing you say is, if this is the picture that I have when I'm in a coaching conversation, or when I'm in, a business development conversation, it's not distinguishing from my presentation mode. And there might be a variety of looks to be able to. So that's something that I'll definitely take into consideration too. And at the same time, I would still, if I did change the look and feel, still bring that level of sharpness, and just to take care of all those little edges. Because that one thing of like I think you're looking down into the computer. So those are things that I'm talking about, the basics. Get the basics covered. And I think because it's always brand. There's always a brand, so that you're presenting out. It's always a kind of people are still experiencing you, and it's a choice, I guess, how you want others to experience you. But I definitely, anyone else want to weigh in on that? And any thoughts about that, just in terms of your own experience? Thanks, Stephanie. I really appreciate that.
Diane, do you have a question?
Well, I was going to kind of be in between. I hear Robert. I also know that he appreciates that not all of us have the space, the funds, all of the rest of it to put that together. So I think there needs to be some, it's tiered. As you said, it was a year, where what we would have seen, when you were in the first few months of this. I live in 600 square feet. I'm in my living room. So I have this as my kind of, friends of friends type of situation. I have a pillow here because behind it is a hole from a lamp that I took down. On occasions, I'll switch it to this way because I have a fun thing that says "My Darling," and people get a kick out of that because it's my last name. And then over in this corner, you see that I have kind of the whole professional setup with a screen along the wall, the cameras, the lights, a standing desk that can go up and down. And then also out that window is a dog park, and also out that window is a hospital. So, in any given moment, I have no idea. So, in a perfect world, I would go, find a studio that I could just have, but I think we need to be realistic. One of the things that's been so bizarre is when I started being a speaker 20 years ago, you'd spend $5,000 to $10,000 on a speaker reel. Before YouTube, frankly, was the best thing that's ever happened to us because it put the quality down, so we can get by with a lot of things that we couldn't have gotten by with 10 years ago. So I just invite people to look at where you'd like to be, stage it where you can. I have a camera that I bought there for $600. I think I've used it 5 times because it's so much easier to use my laptop, record right in. I actually bought a whole separate computer for that setup. That was $1,000. So there's $4,000 or $5,000. That's a car sitting there in the corner. Not a fancy car, but it's, so part of it is I think we need to know what we need to do. But I do agree that when we show up for these types of professional settings in our own communities, we would like to show up our best, but I think we also want to show up better, the good, better, best, so I'm kind of in the better part, and I'm hoping for good, but not perfect. And that's kind of where I'm hoping to go. I mean, I have the Yeti microphone over there, but people are telling me that's still not the best I should have. So then I did this other program and they gave us snowballs and someone says, no, you need the next one. And I'm like, that's $500 until I'm on NPR. I'm not going to be doing that. So, you know, different things work for different people is all I would share. So
I agree with that too, Diane. It's again, it's continual learning process. What we want though is from a elevate perspective, I guess, you know, it is when you're putting recordings out there, when you're putting videos from your masterclass, when you start to do classes yourself.
That's different. That's
you know,
absolutely different.
Then you know, then we need to have that awareness of what good really looks like.
What I do with that one is I pull the rug back because I have to have the desk. I have to swing the desk out because this is my living room. So, and then I do it at 2 a.m. So I put my headset on. My neighbors are hopefully asleep. Mind you, at various times I could hear them fighting or Jeopardy or whatever else it is. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's usually not the case. It has been, but you know, I've had the police there. That's a whole different story. But, you know, so part of it is I think you do have to, or 4 a.m. is another kind of quiet time. So sometimes I just do those types of things, get the recording done, you know, and then it can get shipped off. Or, you know, with editing, I've learned to, instead of try and figure out where I was, I'll do the entire sentence over again because that's easier to edit than the, you know, beep of the horn. And then, you know, just do the whole sentence over. So you learn different things.
That's right. That's right. Again,
I love that you're keeping it real, Diane. And Stephanie also says, I do think it depends on who we're working with. When I'm working with anyone outside, I make sure everything looks professional. I consider you all family. Very sweet.
that's great. Well, any other thoughts? You know, I work with, oh yeah, yes, Tamsin.
Rob, just a question in terms of, I see you've got a little bit of a corner, so that gives your background a little bit of a sense of depth. I was just looking now, the reason I use a virtual background is I would need to do some furniture rearranging in here, but if I did, I would have a flat wall behind me, there isn't a suitable corner.
Sure.
Would that still work?
It definitely works. And it's just creating some kind of a composite behind you that, you know, and what I did was I looked at a lot of different backgrounds. I looked at a lot of different pictures. I looked at a lot of different videos and I said, what do I like? You know, what looks good? And I think, like I looked at, I use OBS software. I don't know if you know what open broadcast software is. I use the software when I do my presentations. So it's not Zoom. It goes through the software, and I can put my picture inside of the slide, or you can manipulate it a little bit more easily.
Is that with the paid subscription, OBS software?
No, actually, you just download it. It's free software, and but it's hard to get, you know, accustomed to. So I went out and I looked at different videos. I went online with YouTube, and this is just my approach. So my background is theater and performing arts, and I know that magicians tend to be really like they are perfectionists. They really painstaking, because things have to be really, they have to work out the kinks when they do their routines. So I found this young fellow who was in California, and I sent him an email. I told him I was also a performer, and I said, could you do some things on OBS? Would you help me? And he totally helped me get up to speed with it. And so now I'm much more comfortable with it. So again, it's finding out how you can, what's the image that you want to project out there. And we have to work really hard, because a lot of people are doing video online, and you have to kind of catch people's imagination. You have to do something a little bit different that goes, oh, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
You know, so when I look at some people and they use some virtual backgrounds are better than others. Some you see the movement like this, and you see that you see the line moving, and that's distracting. But others, Tamsin, I don't see that happening, with yours, so it's a nice background. You don't see that fluctuation. Those are just little things to consider. But I think one of the things that we need to do as we begin to put our small videos that we create, so if we look at our Elevate 3.0 page, we have a nice photograph. I'm going to start putting videos on there. That's the next piece that I'm going to do for myself. Steffi, I don't know if you've put videos up there, right? So you start to put videos up, and we want to make sure that when we do put those up there, that we're putting up quality, that we're putting up that we want to distinguish ourselves from just, a lot of content that's out there already. When people see that a little bit of quality difference, they go, they say, we don't want to be, I don't know if you've ever seen that program or that company called Masterclass. These are like highly produced. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about real studio quality, but we are talking about something that, and when I get the remark from a coaching client that says, geez, I don't know what you're doing, but I feel like you're in the room with me, then I'm doing something right. That's all that that's the point that I'm trying to make is like if you're working on your presence, one of the things that I work with people on is making sure that when you show up, the other people feel like this is your most important meeting of the day. That means you're not just rolling in hot. You manage that transition. You make sure that your setup is good. You make sure that you're settled inside of yourself and that you know why you're there. You're tuned in. So I call it like, the therapist has the 50-minute hour. I always used to wonder about why the 50-minute hour. You can't give us an hour? Well, they're masters of transition. After they meet someone, they capture their notes, they close that book, they take a pause, they get grounded again, they kind of like release whatever is going on that, prior. Then they open up the book of the new person coming in, they look at their notes, and then they're ready for that person when that person comes in. So mastering that transition is really hard, especially when we're dealing with cats, kids, and dogs, and we have a lot of distractions, and it takes a lot. So these are pieces of presence and our virtual presence, how other people experience us. So they experience us energetically, physically, vocally, emotionally. We want people to see all those different aspects of us when we're online. Any thoughts, questions?
Oh, I just had some fun being at the White House. That's all. They were laughing at me. I put up my White House thing.
Well, you got yourself on NPR.
Exactly.
Frank has his hands up.
Yep.
When you first started helping me with some of the things, it was a very simple fix for some of the presentations that I started doing, which was just a set of curtains. And the more important thing, which you were able to help me understand, is the depth of the camera to those curtains. Once as I was able to do that, everything comes into an amazing view, and you can actually look like you're in a top-end studio. So to me, that's more important. And to me, that's only being done in my living room. So there's no special room, there's no special. Now, the next thing which you're helping me on is my microphone, which seems to be a problem. So we don't have the Chinese karate movie going on, which is my next level. Because I just think that is very important, as you said. When I'm going to meet with a client, whether if it's the first interview or I'm actually now doing a presentation, shows through to that client. And it's the most important thing, because not only am I representing myself, I'm representing Elevate.
I'll
So now,
also
Frank,
add in there, Frank, that for you, I would also be careful with, right now, your internet went out for a second. So one thing that I always do when I'm presenting is I'm hardwired in. So this is something that is a pain in the butt, but my living room looks like I'm a part of CBS News, but I just wire the whole thing directly into my computer, because when you have that lag, the first time people will give you a little bit of, ooh, something happened. After that, it gets really distracting to have. And I'm sure Rob is hardwired completely. I mean, I'm sure because he's got a dedicated space, it's just a hardwire all the time.
So actually, Diane, you're right. And I have Verizon, and they have both a cable and a Ethernet. And so what I discovered was, because sometimes, I don't know if you have more people in your house and you use, there's like, if you have a bandwidth of, let's say, 100 megabytes a second, whatever it is, if you have 2 people on the internet, then you're only getting 50. If you have 4 people, you're only getting 25. So that's the way it works. So I found out there's another device by Motorola that you connect directly to the coaxial cable, not the Ethernet cable, and you get full bandwidth. So there are little things like that that you can find out about how to get more consistent, let's say, network capability. But that's another thing that's really important.
Yeah, one thing that I don't have kids, but one person said to me, their kids are not allowed to watch movies when they're presenting because they're streaming. So if they're streaming, that's hogging all of the Wi-Fi while you're trying to do a presentation.
These little things matter. The understanding how Wi-Fi works will help you have that consistency. And I remember the situation, I did 2 webinars when it was like 2 years ago, just when I was first really working on this, and I was trying to figure out the best picture. And I had a camera, but somehow the camera, it was freezing, and I don't know why it was freezing. The first webinar I did, it came across perfectly. The second webinar, my camera froze, and right in the middle of the presentation. Luckily, the slides were still there, but there was no me anymore. And luckily, I just had the presence of mind of I just kept talking, and I let people know that my camera died, but my, the voice was still there. So that's also just being able to deal with, problems when they happen. I was teaching a program at MIT, and one time, and I lost my internet entirely. And luckily I had my phone, and I did the last 30 minutes of the program on my phone. So, but people will forgive that when that stuff happens, because they know that it's going to happen. What we want to try and do is make sure that it doesn't happen on a consistent basis. Like you said, Diane, they'll forgive it a little bit in the beginning, but if it just keeps being a problem, then it's a problem.
And I'll also just add, I think your eyes are such a thing. It was so bizarre to me when the pandemic first happened and you had John LaPook, who'd been on camera how many years as the doctor at CBS, and he's looking at himself instead of looking at the camera. It was just like, and he kept talking about, the people are going to die. Look at the camera if you're going to tell us we're going to die. I mean, it was just, interesting how just even that little thing, it's very disorienting to be looking at the camera now when you all are down below.
So to that, looking directly into the camera is so important. I mean, I'm on a call with a client and he's looking up like this. And I said, John, I don't know, where are you looking? He goes, I'm looking right at you. I go, no, you're not. I'm over here. And so it's hard because we want to look into the eyes of the people that we're speaking to. Think of it like a stage actor on stage, and you're working with your fellow actors. You can feel the audience, you can feel the other actors. And then you get a gig on television or movies, and you have to bring that same level of emotion and connection to the camera. You have to imagine the people there behind the camera. And what I've done is, yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
Yeah, so, you know, I have glasses, and maybe Sabrina can answer this because you've got glasses, or Bob or whatever, right? The glare. How do you guys address the glare from your glasses if you're not willing to, you know, like, oh, there you go. I can't see without them. I do this and I'm like, I don't see, I'm like a blur. So what's the best way to address that glare?
So I actually, I don't have the glasses anymore, but I bought these glasses that actually tilt. And so like, if you tilt your glasses like this, so that's just like this, right? I'm not going to do that all the time, but then the glare doesn't hit. So I actually had these glasses that tilted a little bit, but I'm going to position the light. I'm going to try and do whatever I can do to make sure that there isn't that glare. So when I'm teaching, I'll teach without my glasses. When I'm, yeah. So
Crystal, you got something.
Yeah, go ahead, Crystal.
From what I'm told, if you have like a ring light in front of you, then you can slightly raise the ring light to be a little bit higher so that it's not giving that glare. And then a little bit of the eyeglass tilt, but it's something in the light. I'll find out for you because someone just answered this question in another group that I'm in. And I see Sandra's raising her hand.
Yeah, and I happen to be wearing my glasses today. So my ring light is over there. It's like up and to the left. And also you can, now they make glass anti-glare lenses. So my lenses are, because these are prescription glasses, the lens itself has a anti-glare factor to it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. That was very helpful. Awesome.
So Sandra, your lighting makes the quality of the picture just come right. I mean, it looks really good. You know, the colors are great. You know, just, you know, your hair, just everything. And that's because you have good lighting.
Thanks. I have two. I have the ring light over here and then a lamp that I just took the lampshade off of over here.
And is that 18-inch ring light or is it a smaller one?
I don't know.
I mean, is it a large one or is it one of the little ones?
Yeah, it's a larger one. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes you'll get the little ones and they're just not as effective. They gives you dots in your eyes and things. At least an 18-inch ring light really works well.
There's also a flat light you can get now from Best Buy for about $100, Elgato or something like that. It's just like a big white panel, almost like a little whiteboard. And that's what I use because the reflection in my glasses just was too much.
So I know timing wise, it's 20 of. This is something that'll be continual. And if, you know, you have a lot of resources here. And if you want to get, improve your image, the quality of the camera, the microphone, there's a lot of people here that, you can work with or that'll help you. Again, it's just this thing of quality. We want to make sure that whatever we put out, through Elevate, it has that consistent level. So there's an expectation that when people see it, they know they're going to get something that's really, really strong. Yes, Stephanie.
You know, what would be a great idea is to put a list together of the products or resources that people use. And so, like, Rob, if you were to say, this is the lighting I use, I would love to have a list of those resources, microphones, all of those things. I think that would be a great something.
I have that list and I need to update it, but I'll make sure that it gets updated and gets sent out. That's a great idea, Stephanie.
If you'd like, you can share that list once it's updated with me and I'll share it with everybody.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Well, everybody is very thankful, Rob, for all of your tips and suggestions. Tamsin says that she's going to take up your challenge and switch to a real space. So thank you, everybody, for participating. I'm not sure if you would like to talk a little about the ESP call.
Sure. So the Elite Sales Program, Robert connected with this group. One fellow's in, it's just a Spanish group. And
Pedro
do,
and Marcus.
yes, so Pedro and Marcus. And I had a conversation with them a couple of days ago. I'm going to continue the conversation on Sunday with them, talking about what's the service that they offer. And I like the sound of this because a lot of times it depends upon how much of a mailing list you have. It's based on this is not a LinkedIn marketing campaign. This isn't a campaign that generates people connecting with you, but there's no connection. This is about how you continue to generate real sales through people that know you, know your work, might have been through your programs before, that you've done business with before, that you might not have time to either follow up with, or maybe the client went dormant. And so when I had the conversation with him, I was trying to figure out exactly what it was that they do. And so if I had, let's say, a list of 2,000 people on my LinkedIn, and I really haven't interacted with them, would that work? Or would it be, could it be participants that have been through my programs in the past? And how would they treat those people? How would they go about actually making a connection with them and creating a conversation? And that's the thing that they like to do. So they said the lists that they like to use are ones that are warm lists, people that actually know you, that actually have done business with you and might have lost connection. So when I was thinking about, so the fellow Marcus, he has a background in psychology. He truly gets this idea of when you want to get people talking, you want to acknowledge what they say, validate them. People like to be seen and heard for the concerns that they have, for the value that they offer. And so that being the premise of the way they approach the connection. I like that right away, because you're not just, no one likes to be sold to. So this is like sales. It's not really sales 101, it's sales 202. This idea of you don't come and present what the solution, and what you are offering. You need to get into someone else's boat and understand the problems that they're having. Let them talk about the problems that they're having. And then, do you have something that could address that? And then they're in a place where they say, oh yeah, I'd love to hear, you're solving their problems. So the way that he works and what I'm planning to do with him is cultivate, or rather groom my email list of prior participants, people that have been through my programs in the past. And this can go back 10 years, it doesn't even matter. But if they've been with you, they understand what you offer, and a reconnection. So they do this mostly through chat. They would ask me to send an initial email to make a connection with them. Then the team, I would say, either I or my team would be, reaching back to you, but they would engage in a conversation about what's going on. How are you right now? What are you struggling with? And engage a little bit of and they say they got really good results from this very kind, empathetic approach to engagement and re-engagement. This process that they have would not be in conflict with anything that you might be doing with this group yourself. So like right now, I'm taking a list of my past participants, and I was planning to start an email, it's re-engage with my email list. So that would be what they would be doing would not be in conflict with that. It would be in concert. It would be complementary. So the idea being, if And this is what happened when I offered the Show Up and Shine online session on Elevate. I did that a few months ago, and I had a good number of people, maybe 25 people that came to it. There were 4 people who were prior participants in my programs that came. And so it was great to see them on the program, but I reached out to them afterwards and I said, why did you show up? Like, why was it that you came? And they said, one, I just wanted to re-engage with you and to see what you were doing. And just that sort of like, it reminded me of everything that from your classes that you taught. So, but also this area of online presence is something that's really important. So that kind of validated. I did a little my own little research on those 4 folks, and they all said the same thing. So that makes sense to me, this idea of re-engaging folks, or meeting them where they are, asking them a bit about what is going on for them. And it's through their connection with me. And that makes sense to me. So there are folks that I haven't talked to in a long time, and I don't have the bandwidth to engage in 500 of those conversations. So the upshot is their whole game is to get them to your Elevate page, or to my Elevate page, and offer one thing. You might, so I have 6 programs now on Elevate 3.0. I'm not going to ask these folks to sell all 6 programs. I'm going to ask them to sell one program. And it's going to be this Show Up and Shine online program. Say, well, why don't you come to this and let's re-engage. And then from there, that person that comes and attends, they would get connected to the Elevate page. And then maybe there's another sale at another sale. So it just makes sense to me. So I'll pause now and say, what makes sense is, or anyone have any questions about this particular offer that Robert has right now?
I have a ton of questions.
Sure.
We should also say that it's still very early in this relationship with them. So there's, Rob and Robert and a few others of us are having conversations with this company really to, and these guys to really understand their offer. And, Rob is taking the first major experiment in the group. So, right, Rob, is that a good way to characterize it?
Yes, no, that's totally accurate, Bob. This idea of like, we're experimenting. And I think that's a lot of what Robert has been doing over the past year is pivoting quickly. So try something, does it work? Make a connection. So I was a little skeptical when I first, trying to figure out what is their game? What is it that they are really doing? And because, these are prior participants, they're my participants. They're people that connected to me. I want them to treat, it's like, I'm really careful and protective of that list. So people have to be doing it right in order for me to say, okay, I'm willing to, let you do this. So that Bob is right. We're working to try and figure out, one, are they for real? And I'm willing to take the step and see if it actually works. And if it does, I think there's some benefit for everyone here.
How much do they charge? How do they charge? How do they eat? What's the economic?
So at this point, I don't want to go into all of that. That's really not what I want to talk about. But we are sort of like negotiating with them. They would take a fairly big cut, but it's not forever. It's just to get the ball rolling, and it can be used however you would want to use it. It's totally flexible in its approach. So,
and it's totally pay per performance, which is very rare in this space. Most want an upfront money, but these guys are not pay to play, but pay to perform.
Okay.
So because of that, it's a significant chunk that they'll take, right? But no upfront investment on Elevate or the Elevate members part.
Is
so
the
far.
idea that
No,
Is it
Go
the
ahead,
idea that we
Diane.
do this as a community and they're promoting Elevate? Are they doing it?
great question. Diane, I can answer that question. They would represent you in
Okay.
your company. They would be part of your company and your team. And I think that's extremely important. They would get pointed to Elevate to purchase, but they are your team. And that's the quality of the conversation that they would have over chat. I like their approach, that they are very sensitive. They're trying to build a brand that is sensitive to your company needs and your brand, so that it's not about them, it's not about Elevate, it's about you. And I think, and I, when I'm talking with them, I'm getting a feel for who they are. I didn't want to be sold. I'm still going to talk with them a little bit more, but I'm feeling more hopeful, a little bit less skeptical, and I'm willing at least to try it out. And I think as always, the results are, the proof is in the pudding. And I think that's the thing that we've been trying to do on Elevate, is how do we really monetize this? Now, I've been trying to get a virtual open enrollment program off the ground. I used to do them live, and they were a little bit easier to fill, because I didn't need big numbers. The virtual program has been hard. So I have this one person from Amsterdam who got referred to me that's been waiting patiently for 6 months. And so I'm finally going to convert her over to doing a coaching session, a one-on-one coaching. But she got pointed through my Elevate page and bought my masterclass. And I don't know anyone that has masterclasses, if anyone has bought it. This is the first person for me to actually purchase my masterclass, and it was a surprise. And I've been trying to figure out how to actually, how are we going to make this work? How are we actually going to make Elevate work as an e-commerce portal for us and advertising us and sell business? And I think this ESP program, the Elite Sales Program, could be, I think it has promise. Let me just say that. Bob, did you have any other thoughts about it?
No, I think we're still learning. And so, in some ways we want Rob to talk about this as a teaser, if you will, just to get you guys to know that something's coming down the pike that, as we all know, we have to continually pivot until we find the right business model, right? That is the startup. We're producing a video about that today. We're finishing that video edit. So you'll all see that soon. But that's what's going on. So it's just a heads up, I think, Rob, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Victoria, right?
Bob. So
yes, perfect. So
we'll be opening up the conversation continually, but I think my time is done. But feel free to reach out to me if you want any more information. And Bob, I believe you wanted to tee up something for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria, correct?
Yes, sir. Your small intro.
Great. So I've debated the various ways to describe this to you all. But here's what I notice with every one of us on this call, and really everyone that's joined Elevate. Yes, we are joining Elevate for commercial reasons, to be able to find a sales channel to revenue for what it is that we do. But what it is we do is really what drives all of our behaviors. So each one of us has significant cares about some area of human existence. Every one of us does. And we want to influence change in those areas. So, Sandra, I'm thinking about you a lot these days with the DEI work that you're doing. And, I've got two friends that started a DEI business about 2 years ago. And I did a lot to support the work of theirs that I could. But one piece of thing that I did for them has been the major impactor in my own life. So I started my, kind of professional career after college as a therapist in a wilderness therapy program, working with incarcerated juvenile delinquents in New York State. And I wanted to end that delinquency pattern. I ended up setting up drug abuse programs in Northeastern New York and then nationally and also in Canada, because I wanted to end one of the precursors that brought this delinquency coming on. And then I ended up in the creativity field. And my brother, a full-time academic, soon to retire, asked me at one point, when are you going to get a real career and stop following all of these fad jobs? And my response to him at that time, and I think that was in my 30s that he asked me that question, was, John, I am doing the same thing I've always done since I was a Jesuit candidate. My mission that I had to develop as part of that process is I facilitate great change for the health of humanity in a balanced and appropriate way. In my 30s, when I was taking myself too serious, I added doobie doobie doo, because I saw on a stall wall in a bathroom, Frank Sinatra and Camus and Sartre all quoted on that wall. John Paul Sartre, to be is to do. Albert Camus, to do is to be. Frank Sinatra, doobie doobie doo. And I knew I needed to stop taking myself so seriously. So I added that to the mission statement. So what has been the thing that I've been doing now for 30 years that's allowed me to live that mission statement far better than being a therapist, far better than setting up drug abuse programs, far better than doing public health activism, is I have been enabling other people to be more effective by helping them with creative problem-solving skills. So Tamsin, right after apartheid ended in South Africa, they integrated the university systems with no plan, and it blew up. The white kids and the black kids just didn't get along. You had years of all this stuff building up. And so the South African government brought me in along with some of my colleagues to figure out how to fix that particular thing. So even very complex dynamics. So here's what's going to happen next week if you're able to be here, is that I'm going to do a quick 30-minute primer on creative problem solving, such that you'll notice this is that we come in with expertise. And I'm thinking of it a lot. We got in the US right now, we got the gun violence stuff. We've got the polarization going on in our politics. We've got DE&I stuff not happening, but we've made some successes over the years. Where are we at with equality in women and men? Well, we've made nice progress there. It's not where it needs to be, but we've made nice progress. So how did that happen? How is it that people are no longer advertising women's beauty products in the way that they used to? Not nearly as much of these false images of beauty, because something was done using creative problem solving. So I'd like you to have some of the skill sets in that as an enabler, because every one of us, when we come in as an expert, I'm an expert in pandemic risk mitigation. I literally am an expert in that. And when I come in as an expert, I bring a facilitator in that runs creative problem solving session so that we can figure out what to do. And I'd like to kind of share some of that with you so that you guys have some of those skill sets in the back of your head that increase the likelihood that we can move forward with the things we care about. That's it. So that's what's happening next week for about 30 minutes. Good, I'm done.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bob, and thank you for sharing that with us. So I'm very excited for next week. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Tamsin, I would love to know the name of your cat. It's beautiful.
Meet Pims.
Oh
Pims.
my gosh.
Pims, look in the camera. Rob says you must look in the
Wow.
camera.
Is it time for cat wars? Because I can grab my cat too.
I would love to meet all of your pets. You guys meet Beans. She's a rescue dog.
Cute.
She's adorable.
Yeah. I love her and I love animals in general. I live with 3 cats and 2 dogs right now. So it's a whole bunch. I think Sandra just went. You
No,
can't find.
no,
Okay.
he ran off. He doesn't trust me now.
Okay. He's camera shy. No problem. It could be next week that we meet. Okay. So thank you everybody for joining us. See you next week, hopefully, so you can join us on Bob's creative problem solving 30-minute talk. Okay. So if you have any questions, let me know through email. My link is there to book Zoom calls with me. I see some of you have already booked some calls. So talk soon. Thank you very much.
We'll also have some updates, I'm sure, on the
Yes, of course.
other piece. Great.
And we will have Robert joining us again. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
See y'all.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye-bye.